Well, good morning, hello, and welcome back again to River Valley Farm. Went to the farm machinery show last weekend. Didn't do any video in there, seen plenty of other people doing video. Today, we are back to the manure spreader job. Yeah, I was not aware of this. I decided I was going to use pressure treated 1x4s for the new floor in this. And apparently, they only come 16 feet long. Naturally, we only need like 10. But anyway, we've got lumber, bolts, nuts, tools. So let's get started here. First step, obviously, we got to pull this old deck out, the old floor out here, and get rid of it. I'm not right sure how it's attached, honestly, but we're going to find out. There's some screws here and there, obviously, but well, that's going to be a lot easier than I thought it was. All right, then. Let me get these old boards pulled out, and then we'll get started. All right, then. So, old floor removed, as such. I never crawled under this thing to look at it, but we've got these steel cross members, this angle iron that I was expecting to be here, which is good. We need that. And then there's these old pieces of 2x4 that are in here also. I'm going to leave the 2x4. I'm going to leave the 2x4s, but I'm going to bolt to the angle iron. The 2x4s will just make better, a little bit more support for us. So I may put a few screws in them also. They're not really all that great of shape, but hopefully they'll do for what we want to do. Anyway, so get set up and start cutting some stuff here. Alright, so I've got two boards marked out for 8'9" and 3/8 inches, and that is so we can clear the sprockets for our floor chain. Anyway, and then I haven't made up my mind yet whether I want to go longer on the other ones or not. The old deck was longer. I don't think it's really necessary though, because I think we could take a piece of rubber and put here, just bolt it to this plate, and that'll keep it from running out the front anyway. This deck is going to be far from perfect, but it'll be better than what was in here. So let me get set up and we'll cut some of this off. Naughty board broke off. Okay then. Alright, so of course, as is typical of modern lumber, it's not real straight, but it'll do. We'll just have to anchor one end or the other here, bolt it, drill it, bolt it, and then kind of work our way down to get the kinks out of them. But anyway, you can see what I'm getting at here. That leaves a gap out here, but I think if we just do this length, we'll be alright. I don't know, like I said, I'm still thinking about it. We'll see how I do it in a little bit. Anyway, let me get my drill and everything fixed up here, and we'll get started doing some of this. Alright. So like I said, we're just going to work from one end here, anchor it down, and work our way down. Okay, old steel's better than new steel. I better go get some oil. Alright, so after a couple of tries here and then determining that my drill bit wasn't any good, funny how that works out, we're ready to put in a bolt. Okay, so one bolt through. So as I said, I'm using 1/4 inch carriage bolts. Find the wrench here. There we go. And so now with that, we've already started pulling this board up, so we're just gonna call that good for now. So yeah, you kind of get the idea. I'm only going to be able to do one bolt on these outside boards, and then I'll have to do 2 bolts on the rest of it. So yeah, well, let's get her done. Time to drill some holes and bolt some boards down. Let me go look at this other end here real quick and see, make sure we're still clear of our sprocket. Well, that's a problem now, isn't it? Alright, we've got to move this down a little bit. I'll get back to you in a minute. Alright, so we got 2 of our boards in anyway. We've got the left and right side boards in. So now I gotta decide. I think I want to go a little bit longer anyway on the others, but I don't know exactly how much. I think I'll just go 8'10" probably. I think that'll do for what we want to do here. Yeah, anyway, whatever it was, 8'9" 3/8". Left us just a little bit short here, but that's okay because this is the driven end, so it's going to be pulling the chain around instead of, you know, it's not dragging it over that, so it'll be alright. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go and get my little tape measure hooked on here. There we go. So yeah, if we go 8'10" on the rest of them, it should work out and be just fine. So I'm gonna start cutting boards. I'll get back to you guys in a little. All right, well, so as you can see here, we've got all of our boards cut anyway. Again, this thing is far from perfect, but it will do. I think just in the interest of time, you know, as you can see, we've got gaps pretty much everywhere. We should have roughly about 3/4 of an inch, so we could sit here and try and figure out how to space that across 11 boards, or we can just screw it down. And I think that's what we're going to do, is just screw it down. So yeah, I'm going to go and get, I've got a box of 3.5 inch deck screws. I'm going to go get those, and we're going to screw it down to the 2x4 cross members, and then I'm going to kind of selectively put in, probably just going to put in one carriage bolt for each cross member in each board, and then that should pretty well have that sewed up. So I'll get back with you in a little bit and see what our finished product looks like. Alright, so as you can see, we've got our helper in tow now. We've started putting screws in. I'm using these. These are number 10 3.5 inch long screw. So hopefully they'll hold up pretty well. But I'm just putting 2 to each board in the, like I said, in the 2x4 down here. And then I'm going to come back and put one. Yes. Yeah, they're all right. I haven't put the chain back on yet.
Yeah, but they're still moving.
Well, that's supposed to move right now. Okay. So anyway, you get the idea of what I'm doing here. Like I say, I'll probably just go to one screw in each one of the 2x4s and each one of the boards, and roll on with this project. So I'll get back with you and show you what I got at the end of this, I guess. Alright, so I put in 2 screws and every deck board into every 2x4, and I've come across here and put in everywhere I can. These 3 boards on the outside, each side, there's like 4 layers of metal here. I don't have enough drill bits to do that. But anyway, yeah, so all I got to do now is get underneath, put the nuts on, tighten everything up, and we'll be done with this part and moving on to stringing the chain back in it. So let me get down under there, get to work on putting the nuts on, getting all these carriage bolts tightened up. So yeah, you're not having a good time unless you're laying underneath a manure spreader on a halfway rainy day in February. We'll be back in a minute. Alrighty then, so everything's tight, everything's straight, and everything's as good as we can make it to be anyway. As I said before several times, it's got some gaps in it here and there, but you know, it's not going to be hauling slop. It's going to be hauling pretty solid material, so it should be okay. I guess now what we got left to do is wrap the apron chain and put it back together, see what it looks like once it's all put back together correctly instead of broke apart. So I guess let me get started on doing that, and then we'll see what it looks like afterwards. One other thing of note is, since I used such long screws, we're probably going to have to cut these end ones off here. As you can see, they're kind of hanging down pretty bad. At least I think you can see that. Yeah, you should be able to. So anyway, gotta get back to busy here, so I'll get back to you in a minute. Alright, we got our chain stretched here. I've got the links put together. You can see I used a ratchet strap to draw it together. It's just easier that way, basically. So now I need to cut my strap loose, and we'll see how much slack we got. As you can see, I've got quite a bit up here already as far as slack is concerned. I've got a hump there, a couple others in different places, and we've still got a considerable amount down here. So let me cut this strap loose and we'll have a look. Probably shrink my tripod anyway. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have to take at least one link out of this side just to even it up somewhere, and yeah, we'll have to really work with this chain and take it easy with this old spreader, but it'll work out. It doesn't look like, well, we should probably cut a few of those screws off anyway. And back here too, probably. Let's see what we got here. Actually, there's going to be less interference here than there will be on the other end, so we'll be good with that, I think. So yeah, now we gotta figure out where our worn spot in this chain is and take another piece out of it. Ought to be a good time. At least it's an easy chain to work with. Excuse the shaking around while I'm trying to make the tripod a little bit easier to handle. There we go. Now I don't have 4 foot of it sticking out past my elbow, making it running into stuff. Okay, so and also this crossbar here, I'm gonna have to cut this piece off or drill it out or something, and then we'll just drill this out too, drill it through, put a carriage bolt nut also, and we should be good to go. For a test anyway, not necessarily good to go, but at least to see if the thing actually works or not. I have my questions about the chain drive, the floor chain drive, that is. Everything else I think is going to work and be alright, but I can't get those sprockets back there to turn like they should, which I don't know quite how this drive is supposed to work, so we're going to have to play with that and see what it does. But anyway, yeah, like I say, now I got to figure out where my long spot in my chain is, get a link out of it, and then I've got to pinch the links back in up here where I had it apart. We which I'll have to hook my ratchet strap back up to do that. But anyway, we're going to have this thing working again one of these days. What do you know? Okay, we got the chain figured out. It was just that a couple of these links weren't quite lined up all the way around. I do think we need to lose a link, probably out of each side, one link out of each side. So I'm going to have to put my ratchet strap back together, pull the link out, or wrench the chain back together, pull the link out on each side, and then we'll put it back together, and we should have adequate clearance for everything at that point in time. I just don't like how it's laying right here. So yeah, well, let's get set up and do that. Alright, so we got a ratchet strap in place here. Everything as far as that goes seems to be happy. We got to spread this link right here though, which is probably going to have a chisel, but this snap-on pry bar should do just fine. Anyway, see what happens here. Go. I'll have to take a little bit more on a ratchet strap, or quite a bit more, I should say. Of course, we may not be able to get a link out here. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get a link out of here. So, okay then. That's already got the bottom of that chain stretched banjo tight. So, I guess it just kind of is what it is at this point in time. But, we're going to have to squeeze these links back together so we can keep the chain from flying apart. So let me go get a pair of channel locks so we can squeeze that. Alright, so big channel locks. Best thing I can figure to do this with. It may not work. We may have to devise something else to do it with. Oh, it's squeezing. It's squeezing it. Alright. Just a little bit bigger fight on these things here. And that should do. Get a hold of it again. Another thing that might be useful in doing this would be like a paint marker, so you know which link you took out, so that you don't have to keep counting it every time. Okay, so there's that one. Now we gotta go over here and do this one. There. This one's not being so cooperative as the other side was. Imagine that. Of course not. Why would it be, right? Okay, so if one thing doesn't work, we'll try something else. And this may not be a very good idea, but anyway, that's not going to work so good. Let's throw it this way then. Still didn't work real well. Okay. Alright, now she closed up. Or, well, never mind, that was the wrong one. So you can see why I'm doing this. That's going to pop apart on us. That won't be good if it does. That'd be a mess if it did. It don't want to, does it? Alright. What are we going to do here? Anyway, well, I guess while I'm figuring that out, we'll stop taking video. Okay, so this thing is just stubborn as it wants to be here, basically. I've thrown about everything I can think of at it, short of actually getting a chain break and squeezing it back together with that. So we're going to move on a little bit here and go ahead and fix this piece. I'm just going to drill that out and then drill the other piece through, put a bolt in it. It'll work just fine like that, or as good as the rest of it will anyway. So let me get that done and we'll see about this squeezing this chain back together in a little bit. Well, alright, I guess it's about time to see what happens. Sink or swim with this thing. We got everything put back together, chain squeezed up, everything else. A couple of little finishing touches that need to be done yet. I need to find a new piece for there so we can actually latch it into place. For now, we'll just have to use a ratchet strap or something. And of course, you know, I'm sure that there will be other adjustments and stuff that will have to be made. It's just kind of a fact. There will be. One thing I'm considering doing really hard is just taking this beater here and putting it down in place of this one with the paddles. The paddles are better for flinging stuff, but they're kind of sad, so I think that's probably going to be a better option for us, but we'll have to see how that works out, once it works or not. So let me get the tractor hitched up to it and we'll see what happens. Well, alright, it's engaged. Let's see what happens, whether it flies apart or if it works. We're about to find out. works other than the apron chain. It did not move. So, as I said before, I'm not real sure how this mechanism is supposed to work, but I think it all in all is just 2 froze up to work like it should. This roller should come down here and hit this, and that should kind of ratchet the chain along by the looks of things. So we're going to figure that out. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all for this one. So thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe for more. And we're going to see if I'm smarter than the guy who designed this thing or not. We'll get back to you.